Hi, thank you for coming tonight. Today we are so blessed by having an incredible international author with us. And this is an exciting time for us because today is the first time in our new series at Spirit at Work Books and Beyond. And we're launching a whole new spiritual experience for TV and for us here in Boise. And I would like to introduce tonight my special guest, Gary Renard.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
And we also have Connie Merez. And Connie is the facilitator for the Course in Miracles in Boise. And we will be talking about the Course in Miracles and also about Gary's incredible experience, his life experience, but also about his books. And he's here in Boise this weekend to be introducing The Disappearance of the Universe and Your Immortal Reality, and his incredible information about who, what, and where we're all going. And isn't that a perfect question to ask?
Yeah. Well, first, it's great to be here. This is my first time in Idaho, and it's really cool to be able to come to a place like this and do the things we're going to do this weekend. As far as the books are concerned, I think that the main source material for my books is A Course in Miracles, which we're going to get into.
Right.
And I think right off the bat we have to point out a few things about A Course in Miracles. First of all, it's not a religion. It's not something that you have to believe in. It's not something that you have to proselytize for or convince anybody that it's the right way or anything like that. What it is really is a self-study course. And it's done between you and the Holy Spirit, or you and Jesus, if you want to call it that, because clearly the voice that teaches in A Course in Miracles and is speaking in the first person is the voice of Jesus. And it's really the way that he intended his teachings to be, which were more of a personal thing. It's kind of a personal thing between you and him, because he's kind of like pointing you in the right direction and saying, look, this is what worked for me. If you want to go home to God, which is totally up to you, because not everybody's ready for that, but if you want to go home to God, this is how I did it, and this is what you can do. And then what happened was, about 1992, I started to get some communications from these two beings that appeared to me in person, and their names were Arden and Persa. And what they did was they took this Course in Miracles, which is about 1,400 pages long, and it's really 3 books in one.
Which is this one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they clarified it. They clarified it in a way that it turns out that people can read my books, go back and read A Course in Miracles, and it makes a lot more sense to them than it ever would have if they didn't read my books. And I'm not saying that that's because of me. It's not. I'm just the student in the books. But what happened, and this happened for me too, was after their second visit, my teachers told me that I was going to start studying A Course in Miracles. And I bought my first copy of it, and I picked it up and I started reading it, and it might as well have been written in a foreign language. It's like it made very little sense to me. I could see that it was the voice of Jesus speaking in the first person, but I didn't quite get what he was saying. Now, after about 8 or 9 visits from my teachers, which you can see in the first book, The Disappearance of the Universe, I could go back and read A Course in Miracles, and then it actually made sense to me. And that's something that's very important, because without something like that, now I'm not saying my books are the only way, but without something like that to help, what happens is a lot of times A Course in Miracles ends up sitting on people's bookshelves for 15 or 20 years. Where with something to help get them excited about it, because if you can understand something, then you can apply it to your life. And then you can start to get the result that the Course is directed toward. And what the Course is directed toward is an experience, spiritual experience. And experience is not religious. I say that, I've never been a religious person. I like to say that, in the winter I'm a Buddhist, in the summer I'm a nudist. And what it is like, what this did for me was start to lead me towards, it's not a religious type thing, but a spiritual type thing, where eventually you can experience the kind of spiritual experience that the Course is directed toward. And there's a reason that that's very important. because that experience is the great mystical experience that all the mystics of history have been pointing to, from Buddha to Jesus to many others. And it's like that experience is really the only thing that will ever satisfy us and make us happy. Words can't do it. Theology can't do it. They're just words. As the Course in Miracles says, words are but symbols of symbols. They're like, twice removed from reality. Well, when you think about it, how can a symbol of a symbol ever make you feel whole and full and complete and satisfied? It wouldn't be possible. But even a description of reality, which is what the Course is directed toward, this experience that I'm talking about is actually reality. It's a reality of spirit, but it's a spirit that would be no different than God. It would be exactly the same as God. And that experience is whole and full and complete, and that's why it can make us happy, which is why there's a part in the workbook of A Course in Miracles where Jesus is talking about all these difficult questions that we have. Like we'll have a question and answer session in the workshop that we're going to do at your store. Well, we're doing two things, one at your store and one down the street, but there's going to be a question and answer session, and invariably people will ask very deep questions like, how did I get here? And then I'll say, well, according to A Course in Miracles, you're not here. And they'll say, well, yeah, I know, but how'd I get here? It's kind of like a circular thing. And Jesus is talking about questions like that in the Course, and all of a sudden he says something very interesting. He says, there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this, and do not let theology delay you.
So you're always constantly looking for the experience to be drawn to you?
Yes, because what he's saying is that the real answer to our questions, the real answer that will make us feel whole and full and complete and satisfying, is not going to come to us in the form of words. It's going to come to us in the form of a spiritual experience, an experience of what you really are and where you really are, which is already perfect, which does not have to evolve, which is like the Tao, which is absolute stillness, or as the Plato described the One, it would be something that is already perfect, so you don't have to struggle to become perfect. You already are. The only thing you have to do is get rid of the part of you that is not the real you, and that's what the Course refers to as the ego. So in that sense, it's very similar to classic spiritual approaches like Buddhism and Hinduism. And the reason that that's so beautiful is because now you don't have to struggle to be what you are. All you have to do is work on undoing the false you. As the Course says, salvation is undoing. And if you undid the false you, then eventually the real you would be all that was left, and that's what you would experience.
But don't you find that's very difficult to try and wrap your mind around and really see yourself as not actually even here?
Yeah, it's difficult at first, but that's because the more that the ego gets undone, the easier it gets. So I'd say it's the most difficult at first. And the more you undo the ego, the more spirit starts to come in and you start to experience that. And so what happens is you start to shift from the experience of being this separate body that people believe that they are. And I'm not here to say that that's not people's experience. I'm not here to say that you don't have bills to pay and you don't have things you should be doing and you shouldn't be taking care of your body and things like that. I'm not here to say that that's not our experience. I'm just here to say that it's a false experience, that it's not true. What we really are is spirit, and what we're having is a false experience, which is exactly the same thing that a physicist would tell you today. A physicist would tell you that you are a non-spatial being having a spatial experience. In other words, you're actually everywhere and every time, but you're having the false experience that you are separate from the whole and that you're confined to this tiny little speck of time and space, which is somehow separate from God and separate from others. So it's